We're overcomplicating creativity because we're overcomplicating our existence. Your existence and your creativity is one and the same, yet for some reason we're always looking to someone else or something else to make us feel more creative. Why do we need to do more, be more, to become more creative? Creativity is creation, yet we seem to want to become scientists to do that. We seem to want to fabricate creativity. Creativity is meant to be organic, it's meant to be natural, it's meant to be embodied, it's meant to be felt, it's meant to be expressed organically without an outcome. But because everyone and their mothers are so focused on trying to create the most content to become magnetic, what's happening is we're becoming machines, right? We're relying on AI to script and come up with hooks and ideas for content for us because we can't do it on our own, because we don't trust our own creative flow. But what would happen if you actually just decided to start living your life and documenting it and documenting those moments that make you feel alive? Think about when I was born in the 90s, early 90s. When I was a kid, the most fun experience for me was taking photos with a camera and then going to go get them developed later to see what those memories were, or VCR and camcorders, or those teeny tiny little like Sony digital cameras that we had that would capture moments. There's something to be said about the analog felt experience of being more in the moment when you're capturing something instead of trying to fabricate something. Now, obviously, as a filmmaker and as a photographer, there are moments in time where I do have to fabricate certain scenes in order to get a certain emotion across or tell a certain story, right? That is different. Filmmaking and photography is just art by itself, but when it comes to social media and living our lives, it's almost like we have so many people that are creating for the sake of being seen instead of creating for the sake of creating. Everyone's talking about the fear of being seen. How do you be seen? How do you take up space? It's the same thing. We're overcomplicating it. Overcomplicating being seen means, again, you're outsourcing and externalizing that feeling of taking up space to be reliant upon someone or something else to make you feel that way, when truly being seen and truly taking up space and truly being perceived is allowing it to be seen and felt and perceived and misunderstood however it's meant to. You should strive to be misunderstood. You should strive to be misinterpreted. You should strive to change people's lives with how you move, how you walk, how you speak, how you dress. But so many of us are conditioned to fit in to be safe. I talked about that in a podcast episode that's coming out tomorrow. And when we're striving so hard, it can make content creating exhausting. It can make you feel like you're burnt out. It can make you feel like you need to come up with the next best thing to reach a certain number of views. You ever notice like someone will create something really cool and amazing and wonderful and it just takes off and it goes viral, and then they start adapting to that format of video and storytelling because that's what they're going viral for. That's what people know them for. That's what people love them for. So then they just stick to that. And then they've done 2 or 3 videos that are, like, damn near identical. Where the hell is the originality in that? When I do my Tea Time with Sabby videos, by the way, none of my Tea Time with Sabby videos have ever gone viral. Ever. Never. Not once. Because I'm not starting anything with a crazy hook. I'm not coming at it with energy that's pushing through the screen. I'm not doing any of that. I'm simply doing what I love to do and not really caring who it lands with and why. Now, the day that that does go, quote, viral, do you think I'm going to suddenly shift and change who I am? No, because there's different energy there. I'm not changing who I am to be seen. I'm showing up, I'm being perceived, I'm doing something I enjoy, something that I love to do, and allowing myself to be perceived however it's perceived. It's two very different energies. It's the same thing with your life. When you have when you have a lack of creativity, when you have a lack of freedom in your self-expression, it's usually because you're trying to seek an outcome. So how do we get past any of these things, right? There's a couple ways. For me personally, I have had this like horse blinder method in my head. My horse blinder method essentially is me allowing myself to just show up and not be so swayed by what other people are doing. That took practice and that took time, but the best way that you can do that and that you can adopt that kind of methodology, and I think some of my closest friends that are successful and like are doing well for themselves in life, we all kind of have the same mentality. We're not really watching what everyone else is doing all the time anymore. I think like when you don't have a purpose, when you don't have something you enjoy doing, when you're not striving for something or anything bigger than you, it's easy to get swept up in what everyone else is doing. But the more focused and contained you are with your mission and your purpose on how you're meant to help people or how you're meant to change someone's life, it doesn't matter, big or small, right? It almost like eliminates this need to go and search for what other people are doing so that you can fit in. The second thing is, I music is very important to me. So music is my second way of always coming back and coming home to myself. It's so funny because like when I would date, when I would date, it's so funny because like when I was dating more regularly when I was younger, because I had no standards and I was afraid of being alone, um, my music taste would adapt to that person's to get them to like me more or for us to have more in common, which actually sounds really sad. But I would even do that with like friends. I would do that with social situations because I was very uncomfortable with who I was. And so this seems small, but I mean, just try it, right? Like, think about the music you listened to when you were a kid. When you first had those moments of like self-discovery, when you knew who you were, that those are the moments that will always make you stay in your own lane and your own self. Think about the happy moments. Think about the moments when you felt free. For me, like, I always have this defining moment in my brain listening to Vanessa Carlton on a CD player on my longboard skateboard, skating down, like, and I lived on the top of the hill, skating down the hill and just feeling free. And then the second defining moment was when I was going through depression for the first time when I was around 13 and listening to Mad World and feeling seen. And then feeling like this almost nostalgic feeling with certain music artists that were deeply felt. And now, of course, if you see anything that I create, it all has like that kind of nostalgic film noir kind of A24 sort of feeling because those were the things and the moments in the films that made me feel the most alive, like Virgin Suicides, like Fight Club, like Running with Scissors. All those films, when I was like going through it, made made me feel alive inside, which is interesting, right? So you have moments like that in your life that you've forgotten about because you're so stuck on how do I fit in with everyone else so that they like me instead of no, I'm just me. They can like me or they cannot like me. I don't really care. The third thing that I do that also really helps me is I surround myself with people who make me feel like me. However, you're going to have friendships and relationships that trigger you. And I would challenge yourself to ask yourself one very important question, right? Like, and I talked about this in a past podcast episode. The more successful you become, the more eyes you have on you, the more you have going for yourself in life, the more you have to be very careful with who's just nice to you because you can get them something, and who's nice to you and kind to you out of the goodness and kindness of their heart and never really ask for anything in return, right? Because in them never asking for anything in return and being selfless in that way, you can feel the energy. You always know when someone wants something from you, whether they're aware of it or not. So when you surround yourself with people in your life, if they don't make you feel like you can just be yourself and you can take up space, and they don't know you well enough to know what you like, what you dislike, who you are, what you know, all the things. That's something to keep an eye on, because also, how long have you known them for, right? I have met friends, and then in like 2 months, I'm like, wow, I feel like you just kind of get me. Well, that's because they have the capacity to know and understand themselves. So we cannot surround ourselves with people or be in relationships or friendships with people who do not have the capacity to see past the surface level stuff. Past the, oh, I just want to make a lot of money and be super hot and like be friends with all these like high status people, because then I feel like I'm in a state of power and that gives me X, Y, and Z. Could you imagine the conversations with those people? Also, if spirituality is used as their identity, like sprint far away. If someone has the capacity to know and see themselves and that triggers you, that's a great thing. That's a great friendship. If their authenticity makes you feel like you don't know who you are, that has nothing to do with them and everything to do with you. I've had a couple friendships like that in my life. My longest friendship of 20 years, when I first met this girl when I was 16, I didn't know who the hell I was. But then I became friends with someone who knew who the hell they were, was so authentic, didn't give a crap, took up space, just was living their life freely. That challenged me. It made me feel really insecure. But instead of her villainizing me, she actually just kind of took me by the hand and was like, let's go. That's a different dynamic. So check the energy behind that, because if someone makes you feel insecure because they're putting you down all the time or they're really negative, or that's very different, right? But if someone's just so themselves, you can't help but get like a little jealous and you're triggered, and then it challenges you to want to take up more space too, not to compete, but because that there's like a freedom there and a self-expression that makes you want to just do that. Very different. So that's my little tidbit for you today. I want you to take those things and see how your day and your week and your creativity evolves, because there's a lot of medicine in just these very, very small things that we can use to change and adapt, right? So, but anyways, also on Friday, I'm hosting a live virtual masterclass via Zoom. So there, I'm actually going to be teaching you some somatic tools on how to get out of your head and into your body when you have a creative block. That way you don't feel so stuck all the time. It's something that like I've been doing for years. I didn't really know that I was doing it, and so I was like, "Wait, like let's teach the people." So it'll be a lot of fun, and I'll also have some hot seat moments at the end of the masterclass. So if you have any burning questions that you need to ask that's like specific to your problem or your issue, bring it, and we'll work through it, and it'll be awesome. So the link to get tickets is below in the description box. If you have any questions, if I can help you any further, please don't hesitate to comment. Yeah, thank you as always for all your support, all your love, all like Gosh, all the just trust me. I know I don't get back to like the comments right away, but I just want you to know I love them, I appreciate them, and it keeps me going. So when I see those, it encourages me to start showing up here more. Anyways, that's all I have for you. Have a beautiful, wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.